Welcome to Focus on Wellness in 2021 with Shar, Ariel, and Brianna. We're so glad that you chose to be with us today. Hi.
Hi.
Hi, everybody.
Yeah. And I guess, today we're just going to continue going over the 8 dimensions of wellness. And then we'll talk a little today about specifically self-regulation and supports. So I guess we'll just start with a review of our 8 dimensions of wellness. Let's see, can everybody see that? Yay. Awesome. Okay, cool. All right. We've talked a little bit about each week how our recovery stories have touched on these 8 dimensions of wellness, and we've been able to really have an awesome experience, especially with the folks that have been joining us on Facebook and YouTube. Hey, Darlene, so glad that you're with us again. And hope that you all will definitely continue to put stuff in the chat so this can be like interactive. And yeah, so we're not talking all the time, but that you guys can 100% participate too. So do one of you, Ariel or Rihanna, you guys want to kind of go back to 8 dimensions of wellness? We have a picture this time.
Yeah, I can go over those. So quick recap. I know the last time we talked a lot about emotional and spiritual, but emotional is being able to cope effectively with life and creating satisfying relationships. Environmental can be enjoying good health by occupying pleasant, stimulating environments that support well-being. This can look like your house, apartment. This can be, spending time outside. There's lots of different ways to incorporate that. Financial, I know if you tuned into the Wellness Cafe this morning, we talked about the financial piece a little bit. And that satisfaction with current and future financial situations. Intellectual is recognizing creative abilities and finding ways to expand knowledge and skills. For me, this kind of looks like creativity. I think a lot of people might think intellectual is like, let me go get a book and do some math or something. But for me, intellectual can be coloring, really anything that can stimulate your mind. Occupational is personal satisfaction and enrichment from one's work. Physical, which is another big one for me, is recognizing the need for physical activity, healthy foods, and sleep. I think a lot of people underestimate the power of sleep. I love sleep. I'm a big sleep promoter. Social is developing a sense of connection and belonging and having a good support system. For me, PRN has been a huge support system, and we hope that it is for everyone watching as well. And the last one, we have spiritual, which is expanding one's sense of purpose and meaning in life.
Awesome. Thank you. Brianna, do you want to say anything about it?
No, she did a great job. And yeah, we've been diving into it already. I'm excited to see where we go today, deeper into the beautiful wellness wheel.
Yeah, one thing I hear you often say that I just really appreciate is, that I'm busy and balanced. Something I hear you say a lot. And so, yeah, like doing all this stuff. I mean, all 8 of these things is like busy. It's a lot to keep us, focused. And I really appreciate that when you say busy, you also say I'm balanced. So
Yeah, yeah.
Right here in this center is pretty balanced.
Yeah, absolutely. And these pieces remind me of that balance. And like we've talked about before, it doesn't always look the same, but as long as we're getting a little bit, that's what helps us stay overall balanced. So yeah, I love that.
All right. Well, here we go to the next slide. And yeah, it talks here a little bit of what wellness is. And this material comes from SAMHSA. And their description about, this wellness wheel is that it addresses the whole person, not just part of us, but really the whole person. And this whole wellness initiative, these 8 dimensions, that they're just really basic needs of all of us human beings. Like, we're all kind of made the same and complicated. Like, all these parts work together. And these different dimensions, like, they influence one another and affect our whole quality of life and experience of joy and, the quality that we have as our day-to-day human life. I don't know if you guys wanted to talk any more about some of the things on the right-hand side of the slide.
Sure.
I can keep going. Okay, go, Brianna.
Yeah, I can touch on it. So we see wellness is a whole person strength-based approach. And so, yeah, SAMHSA has it, envisions wellness not as the absence of disease, illness, and stress, but as the presence of a positive purpose in life, satisfying work and play, joyful relationships, a healthy body and living environment, and happiness. So that all sounds really, it makes me feel good just hearing all of that. And then wellness aims to increase overall quality of life, healthy habits, and personal control. So, yeah, creating a plan that includes listening to music and using other strategies to manage the voices, as well as steps for developing a healthy daily routine, such as getting to sleep earlier. Maybe Ariel can give us the pro tips on our sleep advice, and eating more nutritious food and exercising. So, again, all these things that we will be talking about.
Yeah, I really appreciate that piece that I heard you say about, not just the absence of illness, but actually, the having a positive purpose in life. And, what that means to me is not having somebody point out, like, what am I not good at and what are my weaknesses, because I'm very familiar with those things, right? My head, it likes to tell me all the things I don't do well. But, like, this comes from a positive perspective about, what am I good at and what do I like and how can I, add to those things so that I can, be better at those things and enjoy my life more. Yeah. I think this next slide is more about, what these things mean to be strengths-based in the whole person. Like, I think it's just more description about, what does it mean to be focused on health and to have positive goals instead of, negative goals. Like, yeah, and so quotes up here about, what does wellness mean in this framework. And I like the little picture of the colorful guy with flowers and colors all around him. So I don't know if you guys wanted to share anything on this slide or.
Not really. I think, yeah, I love that. The expansiveness and the color there too. And just the reminder that just finding these healthy, more positive notions in all these different ways, just how enhancing it can be. So, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I like the quote that talks about, it being the person's choice, and for them being able to self-define their lifestyle. I think, when I was younger, I probably wouldn't have thought that I had that much control over my own wellness and things. You know, and there are some things we can't control, but I mean, we really do have a lot of control and the ability to make those choices about our life and create a life and lifestyle that is healthy and satisfying and, you know, brings us joy and happiness.
Absolutely. I love that, Ariel. Yeah, it's so empowering to be able to advocate for ourselves for all of these things. And yeah, I think a lot of us can say there were many times in my life I didn't think that this version of me could exist. So, yeah.
Yeah, and for me, you know, what this other thing on the right talks about having positive goals. You know, rather than just trying to say, you know, my goal is to not do these things or not be these things or to change these things I don't like about myself. My positive goals are, you know, really focused on who I want to become rather than giving attention to, you know, what I don't like about myself, because, you know, that belief that, you know, what we give attention to gets bigger. And so really giving attention to the positive parts of myself and who I want to become, and then having positive goals about, you know, where I want to go and what I want to be. That feels a lot better to me too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So I think that this slide right here, it's still talking about the 8 dimensions of wellness, but this is really just acknowledging that sometimes this is hard. Like, to make these changes can be really difficult. Like, although I know what is good for me and what, you know, I need to do, like actually beginning to make these changes and take these actions and come up with a plan, it's like it's really hard. It's really hard stuff to do. I know, you know, I'm trying to be gentle with myself, and I've given myself a smaller goals, right? Like, so I just want to do 5 minutes of movement a day and 5 minutes of meditation a day, and just avoid gluten, because I know that when I eat gluten, it's not good for me. It affects my physical wellness, my mental wellness, and so, you know, just to stop gluten rather than, you know, doing some really major changes in my diet, just trying to focus on that and adding just 5 minutes of movement, 5 minutes of meditation. And even that is like, oh my gosh, really hard.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, yeah. Like I'm thinking about like just habits and things like and kind of like you were saying in general, just echoing all the ways I can come up with so many different excuses of the reasons I can't do something and the whys. So to, yeah, be able to really say and pay attention, like when I do this thing, this is how it makes me feel. And I don't want to feel like this. So even if it's just that little bit or changing that shift, for me, that's a big part too. I think about, like, I do a lot of yoga and meditation and hiking and all of that. And especially in the last year with the pandemic, adapting and knowing, like, I love how you said, even if it's 5 minutes, you know, I'm always telling people, like, it doesn't matter if you can do it for 1 minute, 5 minutes, it really does make a big difference. And I've gone from taking 1 or 2 classes at a studio a day to sometimes just putting on a 15-minute, you know, morning flow or 5-minute morning flow or evening flow. And it it really helps me, even though it looks different, it still gives me the same benefits.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something like I've been trying to be very conscious about telling myself, because I mean, like everyone else, had a lot happen over the last year, which kind of just like took over my brain, and basically every routine that I had was kind of disrupted. And so I've been trying to get outside more and run, which is something I've loved to do, but like getting out there, it just has been such a struggle. And I just keep telling myself, even if you get to the corner of the street, like you will feel better. And so today was kind of one of those days where I dragged myself outside for a little bit. And when I came back, I was like, yes, okay, glad we did that. I feel better. Now I just feel more clear. So I definitely get the like, I don't want to feel this way, so here's what I need to do to avoid that.
It's a constant practice.
Yeah, and having support and doing it with other people and in community, I mean, that is really just like key for me. I know I used to have this woman in my life. She was my Al-Anon sponsor, and after I had gone through the steps and everything, then I had to call her like every day, and I had to leave her a message that said, this is what I've done for myself physically, mentally, and spiritually today. And it was like a three-legged stool for her, that if I didn't take care of my whole self, that would be out of balance and fall over like a three-legged stool. And I didn't really it was like my first response is always this: I don't want to, and I think that's stupid, and so I've had privilege of wonderful women in my life who say, it's okay, it might be stupid, but please do it anyway. And so I just kind of got into that routine. But with COVID, and I like you said, a lot of other things going on, I've kind of gotten out of some of those habits, and then trying to like re-engage in those things is really, it's just challenging. And so I would want to just highlight the Warm Line. And it's such a privilege to be able to support folks, even when somebody calls in to say, yeah, I'm committed to doing this for my life and for my recovery today, and then calls in later to say, yeah, I did it. It's what I learned to be sandwich call, like, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to call you back after I've gotten it done. You know what I mean? Or I'm going into this situation and I don't want to feel alone, so just letting you know I'm going into this situation, and I'm going to call you on the other side. And so just wanted to highlight the Warm Line, the 100% here for folks 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, for big things and for little things, and just to share life together. Yeah, just want to say hey to Amanda and Susan and Darlene, and say hey. And I'm grateful Amanda gave us a good, we're doing this share thing. Thank you. Yeah. Anything else you guys want to say about the screen or this slide?
No, I think it's about to get into some of the things that are really important for me, like, the self-regulation and the habits.
Yeah, me too. So, okay, awesome. So, what is self-regulation? And I got we have these awesome pictures, self-control in action, and just some steps, to take about setting goals and using strategies, and then reflecting on how we're doing. And then some words to kind of describe that. I don't know if you guys wanted to share it all. I feel like I'm a lot.
I was just reading through the side, that says what is self-regulation, and I found the last bullet to be interesting, that a limitation of self-regulation is the mental energy part, because the brain is always looking for ways to conserve energy. So I guess that, goes back to kind of what Brianna said about it being like a constant practice, and why we can fall into old habits and things like that, because it does require energy, and doing a lot of mental energy work can lead to, physical energy being lost. And So I found that interesting.
Yeah, I always think about that too because you might have heard it before, that we're designed to, we want to take the path of least resistance, you know? So yeah, like that energy that we're talking about, it does take some effort. um,
Yeah, it's my thing. Like, I don't want to, and I think that's stupid. Like it's the thing that goes on in my head. Even it's the beginning of the year. How we set goals and stuff. At the beginning of the year, set New Year's resolutions, and so we've heard some about not setting resolutions because then we're just really kind of setting ourselves up and they just fall by the wayside so easily, but this is a gift that we have as humans. Hey, this is what I want to do with my life. And then how do I keep myself on track even though there's some part of me that still doesn't want to do it, acknowledging that, yeah, part of me that does, and there's a part of me that does. Like, how do I keep moving forward toward my goals?
yeah.
I think this is what it look like. I don't know if you can see it, but this is like somebody seeing, so when we see ourselves, what I was talking about earlier is that I need the help of other people in community to see myself, to like say, hey, you remember when you said you wanted to do this? And, to be able to see myself clearly. And this little person here is breathing deep belly breaths. And then this part in the center about the blue, green, yellow, red, it reminds me about, when I was facilitating peer support groups a lot, we had this way of checking in using the stoplight method. And it was like red, yellow, and green. And, just a quick check-in with myself, like, how am I doing? Red means, and meant in that time that, it means I'm about to explode and I'm about to lose it, and then yellow was like, I don't know, I'm kind of on the edge. I'm not really feeling it today. I'm going through some stuff, but I use my coping skills and get some support and I'll still make it through the day without causing harm to myself or anyone else. For me, that means getting locked up, basically. It used to mean that, but and green is like, hey, I'm really I'm walking in gratitude today. I'm just full of love and gratitude and everything is just like wonderful. That's what it meant back then, and it's really helped me just to get in the routine of checking in with myself, like, how am I doing today? Because it's so easy today. Oh yeah, I'm doing fine, and put a smile on my face, but sometimes I'm not fine.
Yeah, I like this a lot. I feel like after seeing this, I'm all day going to be like, okay, I'm in the green zone right now. Okay, I'm in the yellow zone right now. I was just thinking yesterday I had, some situation happen and definitely was in the red zone for a little bit. So this is kind of a fun way to check in with ourselves. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do too. I'm echoing the same things, but I've just always loved stuff like this, like the emotion wheel and all of this. And yeah, it's just such a powerful reminder, that daily check-in, because there's always different events happening. I had a day a few days ago where I had a lot of things stacked, and I was able to do a little bit of my morning routine, but not as much. And then I was like, well, maybe I'll have time later. And then that time didn't come. And then by 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, when things had finally, after a nonstop day of going, I was like, I felt anxious. My mind was racing. I felt irritable. And I was like, whoa, okay, like I need some water. I need dinner. I need to not talk to anybody for a little bit, unplug. And then I had hoped to do an hour class, but that evening was an example where I was like, I'm going to do 15-minute grounding yoga sequence and then come back into myself and just be, and that helped a lot. But yeah.
Yeah, and kind of like that quote said early on in the slide presentation about, when I am experiencing, more challenging things, like how can I take care of myself and be gentle with myself? Like that's the opposite of what I had before I learned all these things. Like when I would be in a situation like that, it seems like I would just really be even harder on myself. Like, I mean, all the negative self thought, talk, I would call myself names and, just really learning how to be gentle with myself and say, hey, have I eaten the whole hungry, angry, lonely, tired thing? Halt. Am I hungry? Am I feeling lonely? And maybe I'm tired. And what can I do to really kind of nurture and care for myself, to help me get into the green zone?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know, just hearing you, Brianna, on Monday, I was noticing, in my early morning routine, my quiet time, that I was really having a challenge to stay focused. And so my went into my old pattern and I was all like, Char, the ADD is really acting up, and it started that spiral where I was like, you gotta gather, you gotta focus, look at you, what you're doing, blah, blah. And I was really grateful because I had someone to say, to just be with me, to give your support, to just ask, how are you? How was you? And I was in a car accident last weekend and I didn't realize it, but wow, it really deeply affected me. I mean, even now, just sharing about it, like it brought up some trauma for me. And I'm still working through it this week and recognizing that just I just really I want to be gentle with myself, a little more gentle than usual this week, because guys, like that really brought up a bunch of old stuff for me, and I had a physical response. Trauma is in our mind, our body, and our emotions. I had a real experience that, of course I'm going to have scattered thoughts after something like that. So, yeah, just realizing like I can be gentle with myself when I'm going through challenges.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, Shar. And I think you just gave a beautiful example of, a reminder of some of the healthy ways that we can cope when we're in those different stages too, and being gentle with ourselves. And I heard you say, you were able to get some peer support um, and having like your community, because I mean, I think about a lot of this, obviously we're, trying to empower ourselves and everything, but we don't do anything alone. We heal in community, and those accountability buddies and the Warm Line and PRN and all the amazing other caregivers and kind souls that are out there doing this is really powerful. So yeah, I don't want to take too much. I see we're here on the healthy versus unhealthy part of self-regulation. Um, if you want, I can keep going since I'm talking here. So we have here, so healthy versus unhealthy. Um, Exercising, eating healthy foods instead of processed foods. That's a big one. I mean, really all of these things, when we think about it, our bodies respond to so much. So yeah, our diet and just getting water and all of that helps calm our nervous systems, regulates us. Writing in a journal, talking to friends, meditation, prayer, therapy, peer support, taking care of yourself when physically ill or and in some sort of accident, and getting adequate sleep, paying attention to those negative thoughts that occur before or after strong emotions. And so those are, it says, what are some of the healthy ways of responding to emotions? And I think for me, all of these things are so important. Soothing myself, sort of being my own mother, so to speak, sometimes. Just like that day I had the other day, even after I did that stuff, I still felt some residual anxiety, and going to sleep, I was like, I don't want to feel this. I just want to go to sleep. But I was having to, talk to myself and just say, it's okay, you did good and you did this, and going through and checking, reaffirming all of these healthy things that we do. Yeah, I just really think all of them are so important. And then the bottom part, I mean, yelling, breaking things, using substances to change the way we feel, cutting ourselves, isolation. Some of those things in my life, I've certainly done all of them. And it was a way to respond to those emotions, because that was the only way I knew how to cope then, right? So yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts, Shara and Ariel?
I wonder anyone who's watching on Facebook or YouTube is chatting with us about some of the healthy or unhealthy ways that you have used to kind of regulate your emotions and your experiences. Ariel, do you see
looking
anything?
at this because no, just the same comments.
You were saying it was interesting looking at it?
Yeah, because as I was going through, and I kind of skipped ahead to the second one, and I feel like I feel like my healthy way of responding to emotions, this made so much sense in my head. So I guess what I was just thinking is, like, in the past, I used to like isolate a lot when I, was feeling some strong emotions. I used to just bottle everything up, just kind of taking it all in. And now I've kind of flipped those things where I've, and it's still a work in progress, of course, but I've gotten to a place where I can allow myself to be vulnerable enough to reach out to someone. I did that yesterday. I texted a friend and I was like, hey, this just happened. I'm really struggling right now. And she was like, okay, do you want me to come over? And part of me wanted to be like, no, I'll be fine, real fast in my head. But then I was like, no, Ariel, like, yes, you do. You could use the support right now. So, like, accept that help from people. And I've definitely tried to be more mindful about not isolating myself too, because I do have a support network, and, that's what people who love and care about you do. And I would do that for somebody else. So, reminding myself that it's okay for me to accept that support too.
Yeah, for sure. And that can be so hard. I know when I was hearing both of you talk, like, I remember in my early recovery, I would like be having these conversations in my head, and I would just run and start like being nice, like giving myself hugs, and I would be like, Shar, it's okay. You can manage this. You're gonna get through this. It's okay. And folks, I was in a therapeutic learning community, and people would be like, what is going on with her? And I didn't even care, because I was learning how to see myself. Like, that's why I pulled this picture back up. Like, I was learning how to see myself as, in a new way. And for me, I was also learning what I heard Brianna say, I was learning how to be, how to take care of myself and be my own parent and being like, honey, it's okay if I didn't get this right this time because I'm doing better than I have in the past. And I could try again and I learned from that experience. I mean, even though I didn't get it what I would think to be right, then I still learned and hey, good job. I made it through that. And I was just learning how and I am still learning to be honest, like still learning how to be gentle and kind to myself and to be nice to myself. And when I get in stressful situations or when a highly charged emotional experience or trauma gets triggered, I still go back to those unhealthy responses. I want to eat junk food and eat a lot of it. Like I want to just stuff all that stuff down with food. I talk really mean to myself when I'm in those situations. And I have to be really intentional about saying, no, I know differently and I'm going to choose differently. It's kind of like what that slide said about, that, that it's a human way to expend less energy, you know what I mean? Like conserve our energy. And so I have to be really intentional about it. And sometimes it's so helpful. Just remember to breathe. Like I've gotten back into trauma therapy, EMDR therapy, and the clinician, the guy who's doing it, he's all like, "I don't see you breathing. Are you breathing? Remember to breathe." And so it's almost like I'm breathing. But, I forget to breathe, and I go back into that real shallow chest breathe that really doesn't get the oxygen and the nurture that I need. I just have to remember to let my breath get down into my belly, and that's why that picture has two hands on, one in the chest and one in the belly. Because for me, if I get into a high situation, I start breathing like shallow, almost like I'm holding my breath. And if I'm really conscious about it, then I'm breathing low and slow down into my belly, and that's when I'm able to process some of the stuff that's bothering me, because I've learned stuffing it down or running from it's very unhealthy for me, and it always like catches up to me in the long run and causes me to self-harm.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I just think, I mean, even with the unhealthy things that are there and like all the things that we're talking about in relation to pain and trauma, which all of us have been through to some degree, it's natural to want to reach for those things that can give us those quick fixes because we don't want to be in that place, and that's the only way that we can express ourselves. And it takes time to learn these things and to be in community with people who remind you, like, and to remind ourselves, like, this is what I really want. Because I know even when I do that, I still feel like crap after. It catches back up to me, and then it might make me feel even worse. And then I just keep that cycle going. So yeah, it's just I don't know, that resonated a lot, Shar. So
Yeah. So I guess the next few slides are, we're moving from the self-regulation piece where we get to decide, it's the beauty of being a human. We get to decide, like, hey, what are my goals and what do I want to do with my life? And then, create a plan for how to But it's like, well, sometimes it's helpful just to remember, like, what are the healthy habits that I'm aiming for? And so that's what the next few slides are about. And so I just thought we'll kind of take turns if that's okay, Brianna.
Yeah, sounds great. Do you want to
All
start us
right.
off?
Yeah, just to keep moving, and the body thrives on movement, and so I went through this period, like I think I shared the last time we were together, where I was diagnosed pre-diabetic, and so I went to the YWCA wellness classes. And that was one of the most helpful things I learned. I learned a lot of wonderful things really there, but the word exercise for me is like, ugh, I don't like that word. And so, they really encouraged me to replace it with movement. Just move your body. It doesn't have to be like this really hard, difficult, terrible thing. It's just about moving my body, and it is really helpful. Like I was talking about in my recovery from trauma, I learned that trauma kind of gets stuck in the body, and the way to help me kind of move it through and process out is move my body. But just like I want to hold my breath and stay real still like that, I have that or whatever it is, like that wants to keep me just kind of paralyzed, the fight, flight, freeze thing. So movement for me is so important. So I just say 5 minutes a day. And that's a good way for me to begin and feel proud of myself. Like, I can do 5 minutes. I can do this. Yeah, so movement, keep moving.
Yeah, I love that too. That's how I write it on I have a daily whiteboard and all the things that my to-dos and movement, that's the word that I have so that it's not fixed or it doesn't have to be like just, hiking, reading, yoga. It's could be all those things or one of those things and just moving my body. Eating well, eat 7 to 10 servings of fruit and vegetables per day. Eat more whole grains, reduce your intake of red and processed meat, limit alcohol, consume more vegetable sources of protein, and eat less refined sugar. Yeah, those are all again really important ways to nourish our bodies. I've struggled on and off in my lived experience prior with various eating disorders and being really disassociated from my body and the ways that I would use or not use food as a coping skill. And yeah, it's been really powerful. And I'm actually vegan, and I've been vegan for about 10 years now. And that's been, and there's, again, just to put it out there, there's healthy and unhealthy ways in every diet. But this has, been a good reminder for me too of, where am I getting my nutrients and how does it impact my body and my mood?
Yeah, speaking of food, I just went and grabbed some. I was sitting here and had this really weird feeling like my chair was tipping over, but it wasn't moving. So yeah, food is important for functioning.
Yes.
Are you feeling better?
Yeah. It's super weird. But
Well, I'm glad you advocated for yourself and used that healthy
yeah.
strategy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was talking about earlier about the gluten for me. It's like it tastes so good though. And yeah, so just kind of remembering, the importance about how the food I eat really impacts the energy I have, and whether or not I'm mentally kind of with it or not with it. I can get foggy brained and stuff. Yeah, so it's helpful for me to remember too, for sure. Ariel, do you want to take the third one, or do you want us to? Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to do that. Managing stress. If you're experiencing mild stress, you may want to engage in calming activities such as meditation, prayer, tai chi, yoga, or deep breathing. If your tension level is high, it's important to do things that are more physically expressive and involve gross motor movement. If you can calm the body down, the mind will calm down. I love that quote. That is a huge reason that I run, because it, like, you know, and I've always said this, which, you know, maybe was taking it to a little extreme, but I feel like if I exhaust my body physically, then like my mind will get exhausted too. Finding balance is key, but I think that is just so true. If you can calm your body down, then your mind will calm too, because, you know, when your body has that response to stress or triggers, you know, it really gets heightened and your heart is beating faster and your mind is probably going, you know, 1,000 miles a minute. And so for me, when I can calm my body down, it just feels like everything calms down.
Yeah. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, just really being mindful about, you know, this whole stress thing. You know, they said it to take years off your life. And, you know, I think some research out now that shows like it really does increase the likelihood of, you know, all those kind of chronic diseases like heart disease and diabetes and stuff like that. And you know, stress can be really related to trauma. You know, it's called post-traumatic stress disorder. And sometimes we can just get stuck on like anxiety. You know, I know for me, I had so much trapped in my body. I used to have like these gross motor movements, like uncontrollable movements. People would be like, "Do you have Tourette's?" And I felt so much shame about it, you know, but as I kind of engaged in my recovery from trauma, I realized like that was all that trapped energy in my body that was trying to find a way out. And you know, stress can like come out as, you know, the trauma. If it stays stuck in there, it's like being on constant stress. It's like constantly stuck on high, you know?
Yeah, because I mean, obviously we're getting flooded with cortisol and adrenaline, you know, that's like literally going through all of our limbs and our brain. That's just like, yeah, so that totally, I love what both of you said too. And just, yeah, that quote, it really does release the feel good endorphins and hormones that help center us again. So.
Yeah. And then the next one is, oh, go ahead, Ariel. Sorry.
No, it's okay. I was just going to say it is really mind-blowing how stress affects your body, you know, like with your motor movements. And I suffered from like chronic stomach aches and there was never anything found, but I was in like excruciating pain for days. And just like all kinds of other physical pain that was just not explainable. And I never, you know, when I was younger, I never wanted to admit that I was stressed or I had some trauma that I didn't process. And so now it's wild to think back to that and how differently, like physically, I feel just from being able to go through the process of processing and dealing with, you know, trauma and being better about managing stress.
Yeah. Yeah, I've learned a lot about it too. You know, some people hear the word trauma, they think about trauma in like what might be called big T trauma, you know, but like, so if you go to war, you know, we're in some kind of a, you know, gun situation and like, you know, a big T trauma, but there's what I know little T trauma, which is like the things that we interpret experiences along our life. Sometimes we remember, so I don't know. I've done a lot of study, and you know, some things happen even when we're in our parents' womb that we don't even really remember, but sometimes we carry it with us, or maybe it's generational trauma. Maybe it happened to our parents or our grandparents, and it's like in our genes, and we don't even realize that this is oftentimes what is going on. I mean, I know for me, the trauma piece, that stress piece, I've heard feedback like from my mom, like says, you don't deal so well with stress. You know what I mean? Like, you don't deal well with stress. And it's true. I have to really monitor that, because when I get under stress, like, I just start going sideways. But what I have learned also is a lot of that stuff was related to trauma. And it just like what said Brianna, I didn't want to have to acknowledge it or say, hey, I have trauma. Like, yeah. And so just being able to say, yes, this is something that happened to me, rather than, this is who I am. I'm not bad, but bad things, have happened to me. And so that has been really helpful for me in my recovery journey, for sure.
Yeah, reconnecting in healthy ways to our body and mind. It's beautiful.
Absolutely. Yeah, so the next one is about, I think it's my turn, so I'll go. The next one is called Getting Screened. And this is about like going to the doctor and getting regular checkups, and maybe, going to the dentist or something like that, so that we can prevent illness, or, very early when it's most treatable. And oh my gosh, I have put off having a mammogram. Like, I just did not want to do that. And so, because it's not a very comfortable situation. And so I finally, got a primary care physician that was like, this is really important. And I understand it's not comfortable, but I need you to do this. And these folks here where I'm sending you, they're so gentle. Like, it's going to be okay. And so I know that, getting screened is, we can come up, I can all kinds of reasons why I don't want to do it. You know what I mean? Like, and it's lots of different reasons. It is very important, and when we're taking care of ourselves. So,
Yeah, definitely.
We're going to move to the next one.
Cool.
Okay. So, if we don't get to all of these, then I just want to feel that I feel that's okay, because we can come back. Maybe it could be like a tease folks to come back this week and see what we might bring next week. So
yeah, that sounds.
Yeah, I just wanted to relieve myself from that pressure.
Yeah.
It's coming.
I like that idea.
Yeah, practicing what we're talking about. We're all doing this all the time throughout our day, and I love the last piece you said, finding physicians and care people that feel trusting and supportive for us. That's a big part of it. This one is building community. And it starts with a quote that says, "The need for connectedness varies from person to person," Dr. Hannah explains. "Introverts may need less and extroverts may need more. It's not about the numbers, though. It's about authentic connection." That resonates a lot. I'm an introvert, but I am a human being. So I am still socially connected and need that support just like anybody else. So yeah, no matter what levels we need it, building that sense of community is so essential, again, to helping us thrive, to helping us discover our authentic selves, and to become the best version of ourselves, and in turn lifting up other people. It's this beautiful sort of symbiotic exchange, and it can happen in ways like it says here: join a church, a club, or a sports team. Once you start tapping into a consistent feeling of gratitude, you'll start to notice just how much you truly have to be grateful for. And again, that's so true. Throughout my journey, even when I felt completely isolated and alone and didn't have healthy relationships, or being estranged from my family and all these different things, it was through the people who advocated and saw me, who really saw me, who had that authentic connection and just said, yeah, that's a lot, or like, I love you, or thank you for doing this, or reminding me even when I'm hurting, that I can still give love and connection in my most seemingly weak moments. And yeah, so this is big, and I hope a lot of people, PRN is a beautiful way to keep connecting with community. We connect with each other. It's definitely become a really important part of my community and that daily gratitude that I feel. And I love seeing people tune in, and just all the amazing resources and classes and ways that we connect with each other all over through this beautiful internet, bringing lots of communities together. So without my communities and my close friendships and lots of other communities that I feel grateful to have, I would say I wouldn't be who I am today.
Yeah, I've always considered myself an introvert too. And it's interesting because I feel like as I've been able to, process through some things, and I've allowed myself to be more vulnerable with other people, I feel like I'm a little bit more extroverted than I ever thought that I was. But pretty much my whole life, like, I never had a whole lot of friends, but I was always so grateful because the one or two, I have two friends that I've known since like I was born. And I'm so thankful for them because they've really been through every stage of my life. And it really is, for me, it's about the authentic connection. And if I lived the rest of my life with one friend that I knew had my back and I had theirs and they would be there for me, like that would be enough. So I love that.
Yeah, and loneliness is such a big now with COVID, and it's like stand by yourself in our house. You like to be. It's draining, and it's difficult to be a human and be locked in our houses and apart from one another. And so, our time is running short for today, but just wanted to again highlight the Promise Resource Network line. We are here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And, it's a toll-free number. It's 100% free. It's confidential. Like, no one's going to talk about anything that I say on the Warm Line. And the people that work on the Warm Line or who answer the phone calls, like, we're people who have gone through a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? And we've been at different things, like how to really listen. And, we know a lot of resources because of how hard we've had to fight for our own recovery. And we're here because we care. We care about you. And, and besides, if you don't call us, then, we won't even have a job anymore. So we just really hope that you will definitely Warm Line, and that you will come back on next Wednesday at 2:30. And in the meantime, that we can all just join together and being gentle and kind to ourselves and to one another, and finding expression of means to learn to love ourselves and to love another, and to just live in that great where, we feel at peace.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah, thank you, everybody, and thank you, Shar and Ariel, for sharing this space. And I do hope that everybody continues to tune in and to utilize this. And I look forward to the journey through the wellness, the 8 dimensions of wellness, as we continue all of these classes. And I hope that everybody can be gentle with themselves and do something healthy for yourself today. Advocate for you.
Yes.
I think, Ariel, you might not be here next week, but we'll still be and looking forward to when you come back next time.
Yes, I'll be thinking of you all. I'll try to at least tune in. So I'm still with you guys.
Awesome. All right. Well, hey everybody. Feel free to share our class around, and yeah, call the worm line and reach out because we're here for you. We love you. Take care of yourselves.
Till next time.
Okay.
Bye.